Hello there, it's your favorite talking eggplant, and today we're playing yet another episode of Blackberry Honey. This is part 6 in the series. I have a whole playlist on my channel, in order by the way. But let's just get right into it. And the group of mates departed, leaving Lorena behind. Lorena, unsure of what was going on, but vaguely aware she could be appreciative of the girl's intervention, looked at her savior awkwardly. Thank you? Cause she made Isobel walk away. Oh, are you still here? The girl snorted. That's not very ladylike. You don't need to thank me. It's meaningless. Then, if I may be so bold as to ask, why did you help me? It wasn't for my sake, you understand. I was merely doing her a favor. Her? Yes, indeed. Don't tell me it's that creepy lady from earlier. Talwa told me, if I saw you, I should look out for you. Not that I particularly want to. You should be old enough to look after yourself. Dude, Talwa's got some connections. Oh, this is a new scene. As Lorena made her solitary walk back to Bly, through the fields of unripe wheat, she found herself pondering. The wind blew through her hair, making it flutter gently. Her skirts, too, shifted in the breeze. The smell of flowers, goldenrods, and hyacinth danced in the air. The sun overhead was soft and warm, like a circular slab of butter. Weird comparison. It was all very tranquil, particularly without Pauline and Isobel to disturb the serene scenery. But Lorena's thoughts continued to tick, tick, tick inside her head, like a clockwork mechanism. That was the second time this day that Talwa had come to her aid, though indirectly on the most recent occasion. Just how much did Lorena owe the older woman, and how could she ever hope to repay her? How much older is she, I wonder? Lorena had nothing to offer the older woman. She had precious few clothes save the ones on her back, and she sent all her earnings back to her mother in Liverpool. As for priceless family heirlooms, that was a joke. The only heirloom Lorena owned was her old, ratty nightgown, which had once belonged to her mother, but which was perilously tight about her bust. How could she square her debt with Talwa? She had absolutely nothing of value to offer, save, perhaps, for her body. What about your personality? If Talwa had come to Lorena's aid twice that day, she was unable to do so that night. What? It was around 11 o'clock and the maids were all in their night clothes. Their duties for the day had ended, and Lorena was curled up beneath her covers, when all of a sudden, a voice called out to her from the gloom. Lorena, can I have a quick word? But knowing Pauline, it wouldn't be quick at all. Lorena remained silent. Maybe, if she was silent, Pauline would think she was asleep. But it wasn't to be. Excuse me, Lorena, are you deaf? She would remain silent. If she was silent, Pauline couldn't. Ow! Lorena whimpered. All of a sudden, a sharp burst of pain spiked through her right earlobe. Pauline was pinching her ear between her thumb and forefinger. Her fingernails dug into Lorena's flesh. It hurt. Wake up, sleepyhead. Rise and shine. I'm up. Just stop that, will you? Lorena pulled herself into a sitting position and glared at Pauline. The glare wasn't as powerful as she had hoped. Much of its effect was lost amongst the darkness of the room, and, in any case, Lorena was too tired to glare properly. What do you want? Nothing in particular. Then why are you bothering me? I just feel a bit restless, that's all. Then you haven't been working hard enough. Lorena herself was so tired, she could have fallen asleep standing up. Like a horse. Even now, with the residual pain about her earlobe, she could feel herself slipping softly into the world of dreams. Maybe you have a point. But the unpleasant smirk on Pauline's face kept Lorena's attention. I was supposed to bolt all the windows and draw the curtains on the ground floor hallway, but silly me, I quite forgot. You've been rather forgetful today. I know, it's terrible. That's what happens when you get old. Girl, you don't look that old. Perhaps you should go and close then. I know I should, but you're younger than me, Lorena. A late night or two won't bother you at your age. Well, if you're so restless, why don't you do it yourself, bruh? Only I can decide what bothers me and what doesn't. Oh, so I take it this... Pain flared in Lorena's earlobe once more. Doesn't bother you, does it? Ow, ow, ow. Lorena whimpered, her eyes beaded with tears. Pauline didn't just have a face like a horse. She was as strong as a horse, too. Come now, don't exaggerate. Like you said, only you can decide what bothers you and what doesn't. But it what? It hurts. Oh, it does? Well, that's too bad. Here's a suggestion. Why don't you punch her in her face? Pauline drew a little closer to Lorena, but her grip was about the younger maid's ear didn't lessen. If anything, it got even stronger. You know what hurts me, Lorena? What? When you try to make me look like a fool in public. You, a girl who should, by all rights, be shamed and derided by the entire village for being a whore. I'm not... You can protest all you want, but I know the truth. Everyone does. Pauline's fingernails gouged Lorena's skin. Lorena's ear was being twisted more uncomfortably, so it crumpled beneath the pressure. You probably thought you were quite clever earlier, but I have news for you. Another twist. You're not clever, little Miss Wah. You're not clever at all, and I'm gonna prove it to you. You thought you could laugh at me? Well, we'll see about that. We'll see. Pauline finally drew her fingers away. The excruciating pressure about her ear lessened, and Lorena found herself gasping in relief. She'd had no idea a mere pinch could hurt so much, but there was nothing mere about Pauline's manhandling. She was downright vicious. Now, are you gonna be a good girl, Lorena, or do you want me to educate you even further? Another new scene. Stupid Pauline. Why don't you just die in a ditch? I swear to God. Lorena knew blaspheming was a grave sin, but she couldn't bring herself to care. It was a chilly night. The young girl shivered as she walked down the darkened hallway. It felt like even the air itself was trying to tease her. It snaked unpleasantly down the back of her neck and crept up her thighs. Her teeth chattered. Why hadn't anybody come to her aid? What about Ada? Effie? Lottie? But Ada was never very reliable in a crisis. Effie spoke once every blue moon, and Lottie had already been fast asleep. When Lottie slept, nothing, not tempest, storm, or wind, could waken her. Truly, she slumbered like a princess. It must have been nice, being so relaxed. Lorena glanced out the windows at the rose garden. She could see, though dimly, the numerous rose bushes illuminated beneath the glow of the full moon. The moon was so round and full, it reminded Lorena of a perfect pearl set in a lady's earlobe. Or Perhaps a crystal ball. It looked just as it had on that fateful night when Lorena had arrived at Bly's gates. What would have happened, she pondered, if she had taken her bag with the dented corner and gone elsewhere? But that was nothing more than baseless fancy. She would never know. This was the path Lorena had chosen. She couldn't turn back now. No matter how infested with thorns or nettles it was, she had to keep on going. That was what her mother would have told her. That was what her mother had told her in her last letter. Just do your best. That's all anyone can ask. Lorena's mother had always been a sensible woman. For that, Lorena was thankful. Silly. The young maid chastised herself under her breath. Why was she getting so sentimental? Now was not the time. Lorena yawned, tears beaded in her eyes. She hadn't realized just how tired she was. Stupid Pauline. I'll make you pay. You mark my words. I'll put pigeon droppings in your tea. Mumbling darkly to herself, Lorena reached forward to check the bolt on a window when she froze. There was something outside. Something moving. It could have been a fox or a badger, but it walked on two legs as a human did. Skinwalker? Lorena couldn't see its face, so she didn't know whether it had eyes, but its hair was long and it wore a lacy nightgown. A ghost? Lottie's ghost? Could it be? Lorena pressed her hand against her mouth. She had to bite her knuckles to stop herself from gasping. She didn't want to wake anybody, but what was the correct procedure in this fantastical situation? What would Estelle Wood have done? Was there anything written in the practical housekeeping guide about fending off phantoms? Surely there must have been. It seemed inconceivable that there wasn't. The guide, Miss Smith's pride and joy, was over 500 pages in size and included, amongst other things, tips on how to humanely dispose of slugs, how to dust a candelabra, and how to lay a table correctly if, horror of horrors, there were no soup spoons available. But Lorena didn't know Estelle Wood's practical housekeeping guide back to front and inside out like Miss Smith did. What else was she going to do? Or what was she going to do? The moon outside shone upon the haunting figure so it glowed. Upon closer inspection, Lorena realized it was a young girl. A young girl with pale hair. Pale skin, too. No more than a child. Now what business did a child have amongst the rose garden of Bly in the middle of the night? It had to have been a ghost, a spirit, an apparition. There was no other explanation. At least that was what the anxious, panic-stricken part of Lorena's mind said. The more cognate, rational part, which sounded a good deal like her mother, had a different opinion. Don't be ridiculous. There's no such thing as ghosts. Such was the mantra Lorena repeated under her breath as she tried to steady her breathing. There are no such thing as ghosts. There are no such thing as ghosts. There is no such thing. And, as though it were a miracle ordained by God upon high, oh! In that exact moment, the figure in the rose garden saw fit to turn about. The wind caught in its hair, making it stream behind the figure in a ghostly shroud. But this was no ghost. The pale, pinched little face peering through the gloom was one Lorena knew all too well. It was none other than Lady Constance. Of course. And what, pray tell, are you doing outside at this hour? Lady Constance glared at Lorena sourly. She looked remarkably composed for one who had been skulking about in the shadows at the dead of night. She wasn't even shaking. How in the world could that be? It was bitterly cold, and Lorena shivered despite her maid's garments. Maybe Lady Constance wasn't a human girl after all, but a malevolent spirit. That would explain a thing or two. I believe I've already told you, maid. I have no obligation to inform you of my coming and going. You don't, that is true, but it's so late. Good girls should be tucked up in their beds, not wandering about gone the stroke of midnight. And who said I was a good girl? An excellent point. Nobody thinks I'm a good girl. Mr. Lester hates me, so does Miss Smith. Even the stable boy hates me. You did tell him he should get kicked in the head by a horse. And he should. He deserves it for always calling me a sauce box behind my back and thinking I can't hear. I do have ears. Still, being kicked by a horse is a little... And he's not the only one. The cook hates me, the maids hate me, Miss ebi-hime hates me too, though she pretends she doesn't. That annoys me the most of all. Whether everyone hates you or not is immaterial. Come in the house with me or you'll catch your death of cold. And I imagine you'd be very happy about that, wouldn't you? What I think is neither here nor there. I'm only a maid. Well, at least you don't fawn and simper over me. I suppose that's one thing to be thankful for. With all due respect, it's much too cold to fawn and simper. I feel like my fingers are gonna fall off. Heh. Maybe I misjudged you. You're not so bad after all, maid. And you're every bit as bad as I've always thought. I know, I'm a bad girl. I already said that. Lady Constance frowned, digging the tip of her shoe into the earth. At least she had the good sense to wear shoes. Padding about barefoot was the fastest way to inflame the lungs. That was a mantra Lorena's mother lived by. Though the Waws were too poor to always afford food, Lorena's mother always ensured her girls were well shod. But I'm not trying to make your life difficult. Not now, at least. Oh. Then why are you out in the garden at such an ungodly time? Was she trying to make a contract with the devil? Lorena wouldn't put it past this changeling child. Maybe simmer down a little bit, Lorena. I heard a noise outside my bedroom window. I went to investigate. A noise? It sounded like a cat. You went outside in this weather to search for a cat? Is there a problem with that? It doesn't seem very sensible. Well, I happen to like cats. I've seen a charming black cat wandering around the grounds lately, but he doesn't let me pet him. He runs away when I get too close. He must have been a smart cat then. Even felines knew Lady Constance was not to be crossed. I was wondering if the cat I could hear was the same one I've seen lately. That's all. Have you looked for him in the night before? 1 or 2 times, yes. So that solved the mystery. You know, you gave some of the maids quite a scare. That's nothing new. They were under the impression Bly was being haunted by a ghost. A ghost? Lady Constance snorted. Only uneducated fools set much store by ghosts. People are far more frightening. That is true. For once, Lorena was inclined to agree with her. I also think it's ridiculous. But you shouldn't water off in the middle of the night. It's dangerous. Nonsense. I'm the most dangerous thing out here. It was a fair point. Lorena didn't feel like pressing the subject. She had no business scolding Lady Constance. She was not, after all, her mother. Alright, let's go back inside. But the cat. The cat can wait. Lady Constance didn't look particularly happy about this, but she didn't protest. Maybe the cold wind had chilled her more than she was letting on. It's a cute little nightgown. Lori, are you alright? Ada sat on the edge of Lorena's bed, her hands clasped together. You were gone at such a very long time. I was starting to worry. She was the only maid who had. The others were sound asleep. It's fine. You don't need to worry. But... Shh. Lorena held a finger to her lips, bidding Ada to be quiet. Her impassioned dialogue had been enough to make Lottie stir, shifting in her bed. Andermatt, my beloved home. And then she fell silent once more. The servants' quarters were completely silent save for the low sound of the wind and Pauline's snores. So, after pushing her unfinished work until Lorena, she'd fallen asleep. What a charlatan. Lorena changed as quietly as she could and took a seat by Ada's side. The bed creaked in protest, but the sound wasn't loud enough to alert the other maids to her presence. You didn't need to stay awake for me, you know. I know, but I was worried. Why? You were gone such a long time, I thought, oh, I don't know. I thought perhaps the ghost had found you. Well, perhaps it did, in a sense. What? Shh. Luna held a finger to her lips again, imploring silence. Oh, I'm sorry. Ada ducked her head, her cheeks flushing. That is, I meant to say, what? Lorena had never heard somebody have such a mental breakdown so quietly before. She hadn't thought such a thing was possible, but Ada was proving her wrong. This night was indeed a night of surprises. I found your ghost, Ada, if you could call it that. Upon reflection, I think it might have been even more dangerous than a phantom. No. Ada pressed a hand against her mouth. Her eyes were big and round. It wasn't a demon, was it? Some would label her as such, but I prefer to call her Lady Constance. Huh? Lady Constance? The one and only. But what was Lady Constance doing outside? Searching for her manners, perhaps? Ah! Well, I hope she found them. I wouldn't count on it. But the encounter earlier had sparked a fair amount of interest in Lorena's generous breast. What? Maybe there was more to Lady Constance than met the eye. And maybe people aren't 2D, one-sided characters. The 18th of April, Monday. But this hypothesis was put to the test more forcefully the following day. Get out of my sight, you ingrate. I don't even want to look at you. But Lady Constance... Enough. Get out, get out, get out, go away. What in the world? Though the voices were muffled behind closed doors, Lorena could pick out each and every word with ease. Mademoiselle, I never meant to cause any offense. I don't care what you meant. I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. But what should I tell your mother? Tell her you're done. You're not coming back. I can't even stand to see your face. But mademoiselle... How many times do I have to tell you? I am not a mademoiselle. I am a lady. Milady. It's too late for that. Shut up. Get out, get out, get out! There was a sudden bang. Miss Aime exited the drawing room, her bright red hair curling free from its restrictive bun. Her eyes were wide, almost wild, and her face was so pale she looked as though she had seen a ghost. In a way, she had. She had experienced a close encounter with the feared ghost of Bly, renowned for striking raw, icy terror in the hearts of all. Mademoiselle, please! Shut up! But... Are you stupid? Do your ears not work? I told you to leave! I apologize. It's too late for that. It's much, much, much too late. Get out of my sight before I throw something at you. I hate you. Yeah, I'll take my leave now. And don't come back. Miss Aime all but fled down the hallway. She stumbled more than once, and Lorena instinctively reached forth to help her. The poor woman looked like she could use some help. Oh, Lorena, ma chérie, I apologize that you had to see just a handful... Whoa. Lorena, ma chérie, I apologize that you had to see such a shameful side of my character. Je suis désolée. Don't know what that means. You don't need to apologize. Lorena frowned. She wasn't sure what to say. There was nothing she could say. What happened? Mademoiselle, oh, she was in such a foul mood this morning. She refused to pick up a quill. She yawned whenever I spoke to her. She even turned her nose up at the piano. But I thought Lady Constance liked the piano. She does. She is remarkably good at it. But today? None. As stubborn as a mule. Isn't she always stubborn? Indeed she is, but it was worse today. I do not know what happened, but after I tried for the dozenth time to coax her into doing some work, she exploded? Exactly. I see. Lorena saw only too well. Anyway, forgive me, Lorena. I don't want to disrupt your work. You aren't disrupting me. I was the one who asked. Oui. Miss Aime nodded. She looked distracted. Lorena didn't blame her. I would say until we meet again, but I fear this will be the last time I work with the young mademoiselle. Even if Mademoiselle Leonard does not fire me, Miss Aime's words faltered. She bit her lower lip. I cannot work with such a child any longer. She is only 12 years old, but she frightens me. Oh, but the poor mademoiselle, to lose yet another governess. The change must be hard on her, undoubtedly, but if only she could learn to control her temper. Miss Aime straightened herself, brushing a few strands of red hair behind her ear. Au revoir, Lorena. It was a pleasure. Goodbye, Miss Aime. Likewise. And with a small curtsy, the governess walked down the corridor and out of Lorena's life for good. Alright, and I'm gonna leave that video right there. Pretty interesting turn of events, if I say myself. Hopefully I'm getting a little better at doing the voices and distinguishing them a little bit, but not overdoing it. Anyway, I'm having a great time doing this, so as always, I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. I will see you in the next video. Bye!